All right, and welcome into another edition of the Postgame show from us here at Do Champions. I am one of the hosts on the network on Third and Manageable from Friday nights, and I have my co-host for the postgame here, the host of the Buffalo Blueprint on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Jake, how are you after this win?
Fantastic, man. How could you not be? I mean, it might have been ugly early. We'll get into the details, but man, I'll take a win any day. Fun game to watch in the second half. Tale of two halves, but man, I'm doing great. It was a great win.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind. I was sitting watching the game. I kept changing positions on my couch because, as I've told you before, just like Michael Scott, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. But so I mean, I'm moving everywhere on my couch trying to find the best spot. And finally, second half started. Got a snack, got a couple drinks, and found the spot on the couch. And man, they turned it around. But all joking aside, they do a wonderful job of adjusting at halftime.
Yeah.
Between McDermott, Babbage, and Joe Brady. I mean, it looked like a completely different game plan in the second half. It's almost like they had two game plans going in. And in the second half, it was like, okay, we're going to switch to this one now and let Josh just kind of rip it loose. I mean, he hit his first 300-yard game of the year. Amari Cooper scored the touchdown, got his touchdown. 4 receptions, 66 yards. Good debut for him, not knowing much of the playbook. And he was on the field. I can't wait to see the snap counts on that because he was not on the field a lot, but he did make an impact. And, the announcers said it best is for Keon Coleman, he's really going to make a big impact on the field for him. So
Yeah, we'll break down the Cooper thing a little bit. That first touchdown, I don't know if you saw the replay too much, but Josh does his little, check audible at the line, and Cooper has no idea, and he looks over at what was it? I think Coleman, and asks him like what to do, and Coleman's just like trying to show him the route and like talk to him, but like they don't have a language either yet, so. It was funny, but I mean that's why you made the move for Cooper. I mean he gets up there, he makes the safety choose a side, fakes him out and goes inside and wins that easily. Josh buys a little time and easy touchdown, and that's what we've needed, man. Like that is a route that's Mac's been running, and love Mac for his effort, but he just doesn't have the same separation skills. And,
right, and that's exactly what it is, and it comes down to separation skills and the way that Cooper ran that route and basically made him pick a side, and Josh put it right on him. Josh saw which way he was going, saw which way he deked, and made the choice. And for them to not be on the same page yet, I cannot wait to see what they look like when they get on the same page.
1,000%. Yeah, and you saw him get a little more comfortable in the second half. I don't know if they had a couple of conversations or what, but you could see Josh trusting him a little. He threw that one behind Cooper, and Cooper made a great adjustment and caught it, and then he threw that other one down the sideline on back shoulder. And I think you're going to see a lot of that is down the sideline back shoulders to Cooper. Super reliable guy, 50-50. He's got a big body, big frame to him as well, and I think Josh likes throwing that pass. He likes throwing that back shoulder, and so you got two guys now on the outside that you can throw that to. And I think more so for Cooper too. You saw, especially in the second half, but you saw roles start to take form, right? You saw the offense become, I think, what they wanted in the offseason before they traded Diggs, and it was you need a guy on the outside that can win his one-on-ones, and then it puts everyone in the right place after that. You got Shakir, who's your move around guy. He can be your slot and outside, and then Keon is your possession guy, and outside, as well, and inside, and he's your mismatch. You get him on a corner you like, or a safety, and then it allows Kincaid then to work over the middle some, and Cooper's occupying the number one cornerback, and a safety has to pay attention as well, and you saw how much that opened up space, and that's what I'm excited for. Is now you're seeing the offense spread itself out how it's supposed to.
Yeah, and did you notice? So Cooper is a true X receiver. Where did he score his touchdown from?
Right. In the red zone from the slot.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
That's what you like to see, right? Is the whole point of your X wide receiver. Everyone thinks it's got to be, the boundary guy winning on the outside the numbers, and that's not what a true X is. A true X is you can line him up anywhere, but he dominates his one-on-one. He dictates terms for the game, and that's what a true X receiver is for me, and that's why like Diggs was able to do that, right? Diggs isn't a speed guy, a vertical threat like you would think of like a DK Metcalf, right? Like as an X, but they're both X's because you can put them anywhere on the field. field and they dictate terms to the defense. You have to respect where they're lined up, and that's a great call out. Like moving him in to the inside, put him on a safety, and I'll take him against any safety in football one-on-one, right? Like that is a matchup the Bills would love all day, every day. So yeah, that's a great point. You know, that's why they brought him over, man, and that's why he's worth his money already. So
and you know, so I'm going to ask you a question because you brought up I have two questions actually for you. So first one you brought up is kind of like looking at everything and it looks better, right? So you had Keon Coleman, Shakir, Samuel, MVS, and Mac Hollins.
Yeah,
they get rid of MVS, and now Cooper, Shakir, Coleman, Samuel, and Mac Hollins. That sounds much better. Like no matter what they do on offense, that sounds much better on paper as the first one that I meant, the first set I mentioned of receivers. And you can do so much more with Cooper coming in, and you saw it really today because truly, they moved them all over the field, whether it was the X, the Y, the slot, you know, and he was truly all over the place. And I'm glad they put a little bit into the offense for him today to kind of get him going. And you know, and I truly, you know, as pissed as I was at that first drop, I'm like, oh, here we go. You know, Cooper's, you know, everybody's like, oh, he has the drops and everything like that. 11 drops on the year, everything. But when it comes down to it, I truly feel he was nervous. Like, and playing in front of there, you even see on the Josh Allen touchdown that he threw, he bobbled it a little bit, made sure he still got his feet in.
You got to get used to Josh too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, Josh zings him in there. That, you know, there's no excuse. He's a professional, you know, good wide receiver. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I give him the pass on that, and then he made it up with a couple really good catches. But yeah, I think you bring up a good point though, as far as it slots everybody in their right place. Even Mac Hollins, right? Like Mac Hollins as your fifth wide receiver is fantastic. I think, you know, any club would take that, right? And he's your blocking guy. You bring him in to do the dirty work, to block for screens, to do the condensed formations and block. And then, yeah, like when guys are tired, they need to get subbed out, he can go in and run a route and catch the ball over the middle. Like, he can do that, but I don't need him playing 80% of the snaps and getting 4 or 5 targets, right? Like, one target like he had today is great. Like, that's all I need to see at Mac. And so it puts everyone in the right spot. And then we didn't even mention Curtis Samuel, right? Curtis Samuel gets hurt early. You didn't even notice you missed him because, again, you have now this plethora of guys who can catch the ball. You know, you had Coleman with 4, Cooper with 4, Shakir with 7. Another guy we got to get to is Shakir, and then Kincaid with 3. Like, and that's not even with Curtis Samuel. Like that is phenomenal. Like that is really what you want to see now. And that's not even Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox only had 1 for 5. Like, it's just it's amazing what adding one guy like that can do, and it moves everyone back down into the right spot. And I want to touch on Shakir a little bit because, man, it takes so much pressure off him. It moves him down to where he belongs as your wide receiver 2, you know, your inside outside guy, and it's amazing how much that opens him up when you can put him on second, you know, nickel cornerbacks, right, and let him get in space. And again, 7 targets, 7 catches. So far on the year, he has 27 targets, 27 catches, 314 yards, no drops, 100% again. Like, that is unbelievable efficiency. That is what makes this offense really click, is when, you know, Josh can be so efficient going to him. You saw him in the second half just spamming Shakir with those, you know, getting him in space, that quick game. And man, is he so good after the catch. So I think Shakir and Kincaid both are really going to feast with this Cooper move. And pleasantly surprised to see Keon do it as well, right? Like, that's a scary thing when Keon is your 4th target, right? Like, he is your 4th weapon, man. And yeah, I think the sky's the limit with him now that so much pressure's off him. He doesn't have to be the guy outside that's going against cornerback ones as well. Like, it's just really exciting to see it come together. And that was a really good defense we saw. They did it against a really good defense.
Yeah, the number 1 in total yards. And real quick, let me ask you a question. This is the second question I was going to ask you, and you brought up Keon Coleman. What the hell is a catch? So like, at this point,
yeah, until you saw the one angle, though, I do agree with you, though. Like, he didn't like fully lose possession, right? But he did bobble it after the first foot was down. And so I do understand that, them overturning that. But I do agree with you as well, though. Like, it's so hard with a catch. Like, he never lost possession. The ball was never really like going anywhere.
It was sliding down his body. It's not like it, you know, and it's the same thing.
Were you ready for the Kincaid call to get overturned too? Speaking of which,
little bit,
I
little
was getting
bit.
a little nervous, man. Like,
Little bit, but as soon as I saw the replay and him tuck it, I was like,
yeah,
that's his 2 feet are down. That's tucked. They're going to keep it.
yeah,
The Keon Coleman one, I was like, this is going to get overturned just because it slid down his body because the guy was trying to make a play and his pinky toe touched out of bounds first. Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's like, come on. Like, you can clearly see his heel touches. And that these are the type of things that the NFL has to define, because if somebody's heel goes down first, that should be considered your foot. Not that, like,
Yeah, and they do have that. Like, that's one of the weird like rules, like that I don't know. I don't know how it got defined, but yeah, like your toe counts, but your heel doesn't until your
right.
toe comes down. So
Exactly.
there's no heel tap, which is kind of silly, but yeah, I don't know. Like there's some weird ones in there. No one knows what a catch is. It's still super
Yep.
confusing, but yeah, at least we got one of those right. It would have been nice to see Keon get that touchdown, but man, what a
That was
day
a
for
hell of a
him.
catch, though. That was a hell of
It
a catch.
was. And that's the stuff you want to see from him, right? Is like,
Mhm.
I mean, now like with Cooper being outside, you can have Keon in the slot. We've been begging to see him run some slant routes and get him over the middle and across the middle. And you saw
And
that
what do
on
you do?
his
What do you do
long
on his
game.
slant? Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, what do you do on his slant?
Yep.
He took
Yep.
it 60 yards.
And then
He
you're
should.
gonna see Cooper and him doing that, right? And
Yeah.
then you start getting defenses thinking about that, and then he puts his foot in the ground and breaks outside, right? Like there's so much more stuff you can do once you get that threat over the middle like that. And him and Cooper is gonna be really exciting for a long time to come, hopefully. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, what an exciting first or debut. I don't think you could have asked for anything more out of Cooper, and then you could see what it did for the offense. We can touch on the first half a little bit if you want.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought some of it was like a game script a little bit for me. Like you could see the Bills, typical slow start. Like I did not like McDermott. You win the coin toss and then taking the ball. I never like that. I understand the idea of setting the tone and whatnot, but just strategy and analytics, it's just awful. It's terrible. So I understand like the excitement and the wanting to do that, but then you come out and run the ball. Your first 2 plays is like a little weird to me, and they're successful plays. Like that's fine. They were 4 yards apiece, but it's just weird to me. Like I don't know if they weren't on the same page. It seemed like between with what McDermott wanted to do and then the offense setting the tone, and then yeah, obviously not converting that 3rd and 2. So that was just a weird start for me. And then the offense overall for the whole first half, I think really just you could see Josh wanted to make big plays. He wanted to do some fireworks to start this game, and this it really isn't the defense to do that on. They're a sound defense. They don't have a lot of miscommunication, and you saw when he finally settled in and just started taking what the defense what was there essentially, right? Like just hitting the underneath guys, hitting the short throws, hitting the guys open, and letting them do the work and yards after the catch. That's when the offense really started going. So the first half for me, man, it's been tough this year. I think they got to get out to better starts because you saw once the game script flipped and the Bills got a lead, that's the type of game they want to play, right? That's the style McDermott's defense wants to play. They want to, they don't want a team to be able to grind out the game and run the ball. So for me, that was the story of the first half was the game script.
Well, and that's the thing, and I was fine with it against, like, I'm not fine with it against a team like the Chiefs, right? I'm not fine with it next week against like Seattle if they win. Get the ball in the second half. Let the defense pin its ears back. Go get Geno Smith. Whatever. That's fine.
Real quick, Jaden Daniels to the locker room. Looks like some kind of injury, so that's not good.
Carted or just walk?
No, he walked, so I didn't see what it was. I don't know if it's concussion.
Might be a head.
Or what.
Might be a head. Yeah.
He didn't have a helmet.
But no, I mean, like against the Seahawks, against the Chiefs, against the 49ers. I get, your point. Take it in the second half. That way you can come out. They're not double dipping just in case something happens or anything like that. Fine.
Yeah.
But against a team like the Titans, I get it. Get up on them early, then let your defense go pin back. I would have loved and unfortunately Cooper dropped that ball. Like unfortunately,
Right.
It was good throw.
Right. You try not to be reactionary by that first drive. Right. We're just talking like strategy.
Right. And I'm perfectly fine because I'm always of the mind of go out and take control of the game on either side of the ball, whether it's offense or defense, whether you win the coin toss, lose it, whether you receive, But if you have a game script against them and it looked like it was working, it worked. Cooper got wide open. He was open by about 3 yards and he dropped the ball.
For sure.
Okay, fine. The problem that I had with it
and then even to back your point up more, right? Like we punt there, right? Mm-hmm. They had 4 plays, 17 yards, and then punted. It's not like they went right down and scored, right? So, yeah, I agree.
Well, and that's exactly where I was getting into. Is the part that upset me is the next 6 plays, because they only ran 6 more plays in the first quarter.
Yep.
So it was like
3 plays, 0 yards, 3 plays, 4 yards. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, and then the Bills. It's like a switch turned on in the second quarter. James Cook came down, got the touchdown, and then we got
part of it was the penalties though. Was like so that second drive, it was 5 yards to Knox, right? And so you're 2nd and 5. It's great. Then it was a false start on Dawkins. Right, so then you're back to 2nd and 10. So it was like the first down play didn't even happen. Josh throws incomplete to Curtis Samuel on that weird play that Curtis Samuel went out on, and then it's 3rd and 10, and he throws it deep to Keon Coleman, incomplete. So yeah, it's those frustrating things that we've been doing, in the Ravens game, in the Houston game, like those self-inflicted wounds with those penalties and just bad spots. Like we're not getting out of our way, and we're making it difficult for ourselves. And so that was frustrating.
And I heard a stat, not to interrupt you, but I heard a stat because you brought up the false starts.
Yeah,
they had 12 all of last year.
Yeah,
they have 11 so far this year.
Yep, that's a great point. Yeah, their offense is just not disciplined right now on the line, and then I have not liked the 3rd down play calling by Joe Brady at all. And again, I have to go back and watch the all 22 for this, because I've seen previous games, like guys have been open and Josh is passing up the short stuff, and he's wanting to throw it deeper on 3rd down and make sure he gets the first down through the air instead of letting his guys work the ball. But those first 2 in particular, where it was deep to Keon and deep to Mac, like had no chance, and there's no need to throw those. The first one he could have run. It was open. He could have ran for that first down, and that's another thing Josh hasn't been doing earlier in games is scrambling to get yards and first downs. The Houston game for sure, he was passing up some first downs he probably could have ran for. So 3rd downs, I think we were 0 for 5 in the first half. Like that, you just can't do that. It's unacceptable, and a lot of that is on Josh. Like he was greedy in the first half. I think he would even admit that. He passed up some stuff, and so it was frustrating to see that. But anyways, it's 10-7, right? And so you're looking all right, and then after we scored the touchdown, they fumbled, right? So Mason Rudolph fumbled. Terrell Bernard, he fumbled the snap. Terrell Bernard recovered it, and you're like, all right, now's our chance to really take the lead, get the momentum going, right? And so it's 5 plays, 2 yards, and we punted.
Well, and I want to go back to
for me.
And I want to go back to this because Josh has now played the Titans, I think 5 times in his career so far. 5 or 6. I'd have to go look and see exactly how many, but I truly feel like, and I know this is a different coaching staff now and everything, but I truly feel like he's seeing guys that aren't there early on against the Titans.
For sure. He feels Jeffrey Simmons. He feels him.
No, he absolutely does, and it's almost like he's feeling guys or seeing guys that aren't there. And I hate to go to the.
No, that's a good call out though. That's a good point.
I hate to go to the Sam Darnold thing. It's seeing ghosts, but not to be funny here, but it's almost like he does feel that. And until he settled into the game, we were worried about, getting enough points to beat the Titans.
Yeah. He was definitely off in the first half, man. I think that's a good point. I think until he realized he could settle in, right? Like he did not look comfortable.
Yeah. And on the second, 3rd down in the first quarter, Dalton Kincaid was wide open.
He passed
wide open.
Yep.
For like 12, 13 yards. Didn't have a guy within probably 5-6 yards of him. I'd have to go look to see, and I think it was even more than that, but he was wide open past the sticks. Yep. And you can't do that. Those are the things. Had he stayed in there for another half a second and went to Kincaid, that's a quarter-changing, game-changing type play, because at that point it's 0-0.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's just frustrating, right? Because I think we see glimpses of what this offense could be, and it's tough, to see them perform so poorly in a half. Again, Josh was 4 of 11 for 65 yards in the first half. Against a good offense, that's a hole you might not be able to come out of. I mean, think of Ravens game. I mean, even the Texans game too, right? I mean, that game was was pretty out of hand pretty early, and we were lucky to come back because they stalled out. So
Lucky to have
yeah,
Nico Collins go out.
great point. Yeah, if he stays healthy, and Mixon's playing too, right? Like
Mhm.
that. So I think it's just stuff we want to see them get more efficient and Josh settle in more. Like it was nice to see in the second half he really settled back in and he felt like he had some time and he was making good reads and so that when this offense can be efficient and stay on schedule, it's game changing. They got a lot of guys that you get the ball into their hands and they'll make plays, and Josh needs to trust that they'll do that for him, right? And
Mhm.
I think that's the thing I really want to see that'll take this offense to the next level.
And I truly, real quick before you get to your next point, and because I want to touch on that real quick, and I truly do believe that Josh is still of the mindset, like even though he had Diggs, even though he had Davis, even though he had all these guys before Beasley, Brown, at some point he always had to like eventually put the game on his back and go win
Yeah.
it. So it's
And none
like
of those guys were yak guys either, right? Like I don't think
exactly.
he's totally trusting that his guys are going to make plays and get the yards, right? I think he feels like he has
Exactly.
to throw it the distance it needs to go or
Mhm.
farther. No, that's a good point. I think that's something he needs to learn to trust, and he's got the guys to do it now. I mean, he's got multiple guys now who can run after the catch. So, um, what about the run game? What was your thoughts on the run game overall?
I actually was okay with the run game. I mean, it looked like, and again, it was weird to me because like look at the first series, right? So on third down, they go to Cooper. Great play. He was open.
Yep,
You just picked up 4 yards and 4 yards.
on
Why are
back-to-back
you not?
plays. Yeah.
Why are you not handing it right back to James Cook or putting it in Josh Allen's
Yeah.
hands to go pick up the first down? Um, and it just
Too
seems
cute.
like,
I think the third
yeah,
down calls are getting too cute because I agree with you there. Like, trust your guys to at least get a yard, right?
yeah.
Like, and then you trust Josh to get the other one, or whatever the half. But yeah, I mean, you just ran for 4 yards back to back. Why would you go
on
to the
a
air
good
there?
on a good Titans defense, run defense,
Right,
that
right.
Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat up the middle, like, and you're
Yeah,
pushing these guys out of the way. You're bringing the nasty, you're bringing the blocks, you're
yeah,
controlling the offense or the defensive line with your offensive line. Go pick up 2 yards.
yeah, for sure.
Like
Yeah,
it's
and
just
I
crazy
thought
to
I
me.
thought I liked the adjustment too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not really the game to like pound the rock up the middle, like you said, with Sweat
Mm-hmm.
and Simmons, and I mean they got some good players in there, and their run defense has been good. Both their linebackers were good. You saw the difference it made when Kenneth Murray went out, their other linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
That was, you could tell. That's when we started running the ball and the middle started really opening up. But overall, I thought it was good. I mean, the stats aren't great. It's 20 carries, 74 yards, 3.7 yard average. Ray Davis had 5 carries for 41 yards. He had that one long at 22, which was nice. Cook
Mm-hmm.
was 12 for 32, 2.7 yard average. Tough game for him though. Like I don't know how much that's the toe, but this really wasn't the style of running game for him. I didn't feel like that going in. But you keep the defense honest. But I really liked what they did in the second half as far as going back to using the passing game as an extension of your run game,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like get those quick throws out in space to Kincaid and Shakir especially, and let them work after the catch. And those are run plays essentially. And against not good corners, right? Like they don't have their top corners in. I thought that was really smart to go to that since you weren't having a lot of success on the ground. So what was your thoughts about that, the game plan in the second
So
half?
I really love the game plan in the second half on offense. I mean, we'll get to the defense here in a minute because they played outstanding for what they, and yes, you're going against Mason Rudolph. Like, let's be serious. But as far as when they came out of the second half and basically, stop them on defense, get the ball back, and then go
Yeah.
right down the field, and score. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing else that can be said about that because there's previous years under Josh where it's been entire third quarters where it's
Yeah.
like
Entire
we're
games.
I'm just talking third quarter in general coming out of the half where it's
Yeah.
like the offense is not making enough of an adjustment and they're not moving the ball. So I'd rather a first quarter look like it did today than swap that with the third quarter because the third quarter seems to be where you make all your changes and your momentum and everything starts to be gaining because look at what happened. They came out and they went four and out because I won't
Yeah,
call
I
it three
mean,
and
look
out.
at that's a trend now for the season, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the second half adjustments are real. Like they have been doing that on both sides of the ball. The Bills have, and so I thought that was big. Yeah, that's a good call out. I mean, their first drive for the Titans, they get Tony Pollard for 1 yard after they've been running all over us. Mason Rudolph scrambles for 8 yards, fine, whatever, and then they go for it on 3rd and 1. They do a direct snap to Tony Pollard. He loses
Lose
a yard. Yep, which was great. And then 4th and 2, they go for it. I was shocked by that. I thought that was stupid. Our offense hasn't been doing, a ton. Make us drive the field.
Right. Pin us deep.
They go for it. Right, and they go for it on their own 44, and I honestly think that this changed the whole game. Like you said, I mean, it was a pivotal point as far as like they make that big stop, offense comes right on and goes right down the field. So Dwayne Carter and Rapp blow the play up, -3 yards. Bills get the ball, 6 plays, 41 yards, and a touchdown. It's 14-10, and then the whole game after that was over. It was a completely different game, and so yeah, I thought it was a great, to capitalize on that, come out and make a big stop on defense, and then complementary football, right? Like McDermott preaches, the offense takes the turnover and goes right down and scores, and that was the one for Cooper with the slant over the middle. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Touching on that 3rd and 4th down situation again, let me ask you a question. Do you think the momentum swings as much had it not been an amazing play by Rapp and Carter to blow the guy up and then make that tackle on Pollard on 4th down? Do you think if Levis steps back and Ridley drops the ball or Hopkins drops the ball, or they just overthrow somebody or anything like that, do you think there's that much of a momentum switch because you clearly saw it because the defense made this amazing stop where it's like they actually made a play and they're super hyped about it. So the offense comes on super hyped about it and go down and score. Literally, I think it was 5-6 plays?
Yeah, it was 6 plays, 41 yards.
Yeah. I mean, and Cooper caps it off with the touchdown and everything else is history past that. But like that was you get 2 to 3 game-changing type plays in an entire game. Yeah. That was your last game-changing play there.
I don't disagree with you. I think that flipped the whole game. That changed the whole game, was that play, making the stop, and then the turnaround and the Bills going and scoring. Like that, the whole game changed after that. You could just feel it on both sides of the ball. Like, even in the stadium, I'm sure if people, were there and they felt that, like I'm sure you could feel it. Like it was a sigh of relief. The Bills got the lead again, and then the offense was moving, and so yeah, that throw from Josh to Kincaid was just ridiculous. Yeah. That was a great throw. 3rd and 12, 17 yards down to the 12-yard line. And then the other one was the other one that, we talked about where they reviewed it. He had 2 great throws to Kincaid, and that's what you want Kincaid for, right? I want him working more vertically like that, especially on big downs and making a safety or linebacker chase him. So, yeah, that drive was huge. That 3rd and 12 was monster. And then, yeah, the touchdown to Cooper, I mean, capped it off, right? And sent the place nuts. I loved hearing everyone do the coop like that.
And it started from when he ran out of the tunnel. So, I mean, it was that's going to be fun. That's going to be similar sounding to Bruce. Maybe not as like impactful, but it very well could be. I mean,
we'll see. I mean, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the defense then.
Absolutely.
Like, what was your thoughts on the defense? Maybe start the first half and what you thought was right or wrong, and then we can go second half, I guess.
I mean, I think that the defense, I think that they were asleep also the first, and they did their typical bend but don't break. They got, them into that 3rd down on their touchdown, which it just felt like everybody was like a half a step short all day not all day, but in the first quarter, in the first half, trying to get to Mason Rudolph. Greg Rousseau has a hand on him, or he's tackling him from behind, or
what a game. I mean, I think he had 6 quarterback hits. Like that's unreal.
He had half a sack.
Guys don't go the whole year doing that. Like it was unreal, the game he had. Like, backup right tackle. That's what he should do, right? And he absolutely dominated him. So yeah, I think I do give credit to Callahan because I do think they had a really good game plan to start the game.
Yep.
You saw a lot of play action misdirection, sneaking the tight end on the backside. and the Bills were really wanted to stop the run, and so they were bringing a safety down or that outside corner and having them crash the backside, and that tight end was just sneaking out outside of them, and it was bad discipline by the Bills or
Yep.
awareness, whatever you want to call it, and it was good play design by the Titans to take advantage of that aggressiveness. So you saw once the Bills adjusted to that and take those free plays away, those easy plays, and you made Mason have to work down the field a little bit, right? That's where the advantage shifted
Hmm.
because he was not very accurate on down the field. He got a little rattled once we started getting pressure on him, especially in the second half when it turned into a drop back game. It was game over, right? I didn't worry about the Bills there once they had to start
Hmm.
dropping back. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's where the game script is so important with this defense is they're not going to be a good run stopping unit. Like they're not built for it, and that's okay as long as the offense is scoring early, and then you force the other team to have to mix it up more or throw more. Right? If you can just let a team run the ball on you and feel comfortable running the ball on you, like that is where this defense is in trouble. So I
Right.
think that was a microcosm of this game.
Yeah, and I think they had a very similar game plan early on to what the Ravens did and what they tried to do, but you can see the difference between having Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, right?
Right.
like
Right.
like
For
it,
sure. For sure.
and then even Isaiah
Well, even
Lakely and
just like McCard and the big
yeah.
bodies they have, right? And their fullback, and so yeah, I mean I'm interested. The next, Seattle's a good test for that. They've been running the ball pretty well, and Walker's a load. So if you can limit the run game against Seattle, I think that changes that game as well, right? So another good test for the Bills
Yeah.
to try to limit a run game because if you let them run on you, it's trouble, man. So
Yeah, and I agree with that too. But I feel like that, now that like Charbonnet is no longer like a huge part of their offense,
yeah,
they're doing more of the, what Kenneth Walker's good for, and just lining up and letting him run it down teams'
for sure,
throats
for
rather than
sure.
getting on edges or anything like that, and
Yeah.
using too much of a screen game or anything.
That's a
Um,
good
you
point
know,
though, because that's kind of his thing though, right? Like
mhm,
he's more your classic guy. Like I want to give him 20 plus touches, right?
mhm,
I want him to get lathered up. I want him to get into the game and
yeah,
and weaken up the front. When games where they only give him like 5 touches early or 10 touches total, like that is a disaster. So yeah, I
mhm.
think that's a good call. You want him to be your workhorse.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I think the Bills do much better against teams like that, where they're,
Yeah,
lining up and going right at you, rather
yeah,
than what, like the Ravens did, where they're trying to run, traps on the outside, or,
yeah.
run duo blocks on the
I
outside,
think that's where they
or,
miss Spears, is because that's the kind
yeah.
of back that gives the Bills trouble, right? That
Hmm.
the speed back that is in the passing game as well, and Pollard played a good game, but he's not the same kind of quick guy that kind of gives the Bills trouble. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was a good response by the D overall though. I It was good to see the D line make some plays. You saw Daquan get in there. You saw Ed make some plays. Dorian Williams again, 10 total tackles, 6 solo, 1 for loss. I thought that was really nice. Man, Terrell Bernard, it just makes such a difference. It's those 2 or 3 plays a game where he knifes in there and tackle for a loss. He recovers the fumble. It's just those little things, man, that are just so big. And then obviously in coverage, but he had 2 nice tackle for loss. Like we talked about before, hopefully it's a foot, mild ankle sprain, low ankle sprain, something like that. He was walking around back on the sideline after he was ruled out. He wasn't like in a boot yet or anything like that. So that's good signs. I'm hoping he just went back for like X-rays and the game
Hmm.
was kind of already with 17 points at that point or more, and so
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's more precautionary. Terrell Bernard, or I mean Taron Johnson, like tell me how much we didn't miss him. Like some great pass breakups there, and then again in the run defense was really nice. And then I mean Greg Rousseau, I mean that's the game we want from him. Like just a little more consistency. I don't expect him to do that every game. That was pretty ridiculous. The 6 QB hits is insane. We had 11 QB hits in total. Like that
Yeah.
is getting after it.
And
So
real quick, how many sacks did we have?
we had 3 sacks. So AJ had one, which was good to see. Smoot and Rousseau are credited with a half, and then the Daquan Jones had the sack there, and he had 2 QB hits himself. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
It sure felt like a lot more, right? Like he had that one where he threw away that he was pretty much sacked, and he they just missed a couple, especially in the first half. Like you said, it felt like we were like a half a step away from getting quite a few sacks. But AJ with the knack for the strip sacks is nice to see.
what I'm trying to remember who it was too, because I know it was Russo. It was one of Russo's pressures,
Yeah,
and I'm trying to remember who the throw to was. But he literally had Mason Rudolph wrapped up in his, and Rudolph is almost off the ground throwing the ball, and it's
yeah,
like how did he complete that ball with Russo all over him? Like that
yeah.
was just crazy to me.
Yeah, and overall, like that's, I mean, it was nice to see AJ and Greg do that, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
without Vaughn still, I think we need guys to step up and to make some plays, and it's nice not having to do crazy blitz to get pressure from linebackers or safeties. And you saw them start to blitz a little in the second half, especially run blitzing. And that this is the type of team to do it, right? Like I'm not worried
Mm-hmm.
about Rudolph dropping back and launching a bomb right on you. So yeah, it was good adjustments, and you should capitalize on it. And the defense was able to get some pressure. So and I thought the secondary overall did pretty well. I mean, uh, I thought I have to watch again. There was a couple miscommunications or in the back end, but nothing too crazy. So yeah, overall it was a good day from the defense. But you just gotta hope that Bernard's minor.
Yeah, and you bring up them doing it without the likes of Von Miller.
Yeah,
He's eligible, unfortunately not next week, but he'll be eligible for the Dolphins game
Miami
in Week 9.
with Tua
Um,
coming back.
yeah, I
That's
don't know how I
insane.
don't know how they play him that game. I don't know how they played him that game.
Right,
Like
and especially with, I mean, they lose again today. Like I don't do. Why would you bring him back in next week?
right.
Like I don't. You're 2-4. Like I don't know, man.
Are they
It's tough.
they're 2-4?
They're 2-4, and they got the
Yeah.
Cardinals at home.
Hmm.
That's tough, man. I mean, that's yeah.
I
And then
mean,
you
and
go
they're
on the road to Buffalo.
it's not they're and that's the thing. I mean, they're it's not like they're the Jets where they have everybody like
Mm,
and then they go out and acquire Devontae Adams. They've lost more people. They lost Tua for most of that team is truly going to end up in probably where they are right now, third, if not fourth, because the Patriots, are looking a little bit better each and every week now with the
yeah,
Drake
their
May
defense is
starting, and
so bad though.
yeah, it is. It truly is.
But yeah, I agree.
Um,
I mean, I don't know. I do understand. Like, it's selfish, I think, to start him this week because you need to win the game, right? And he obviously gives you the best chance. I mean, Snoop did not look good today. They didn't complete a pass to Tyreek Hill or to Jalen Waddle till like 2 minutes left in the game. Tim Boyle obviously is not it. So I totally understand wanting to start him, and he's
yeah,
gives you the best chance to win by a country mile. But yeah, just craziness. So
yeah.
yeah, getting back to the Bills game though, like any other thoughts? Anything else you wish you would have seen, or I mean, I guess we can do the classic. Your pit and your
I'm peak in the pit.
peak in the pit.
So mine are, and I'm trying to remember what I said on Friday night. I said the safeties, and I was wrong on that. And with the pit, Damar Hamlin had his second interception this year on a on a lovely carom off
Yeah,
of two players. But the safety room played really, really well today. Taylor Rapp played the run very, very well. Damar Hamlin didn't give up anything like too deep or anything like that. They kept everything in front of them, which is all I've ever said that they've had to do. That's all the Bills,
right.
safety room has
Don't
ever
miss
been.
crazy tackles, and
Hmm.
don't give up explosive plays down the field. Right.
Exactly. And then, as far as the cornerbacks, other than the Rasul Douglas pass interference, which still
Yeah,
blows
that
my
was
mind, is
tough.
why
That was
that
tough.
was called. He's going for the interception. They're both fighting for the ball, and they call it pass interference. I was waiting for him to pick it up. Also, on top of the ball was tipped.
Yeah,
I,
that was a
like,
tough one. Yeah, and it's also like you got to know Hopkins. Like, dude
yeah,
is one of the most physical, handsy wide receivers in football. Like, he was right there, hand fighting him, and yeah, I don't. That was a bad call.
But on top of that, my peaks are, obviously Josh Allen, Amari Cooper. That connection is starting to get found after one game,
Yeah.
less than
Yeah.
one game. And the defensive line, Dwayne Carter looking like a wonderful, another
Good
third
call out.
round steal for
Yeah, man.
Brandon
If
Bean
if
in the
Daquan
draft.
and Ed start cooking like they should, right? Like they should be playing, and then you get Carter to come in and make some plays here and there, man. And then Austin
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, obviously being a steady run. I mean, that's exciting, man. With Vaughn coming back and like
And the
that is something we've
combinations
missed.
and the combinations you can do with
Yes, and
Daquan
Smoot
Jones, Ed Oliver,
inside and
Smoot,
AJ. Yep,
yeah,
yep. I
exactly,
agree.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, what are yours? What are your peak and pits?
Uh, I'd say my pit would be just the start, the first half start. Um, I think it's tough, man. You can't play that poor in the first half. You just can't. I understand a couple series, but that was tough. I would say my peak is the wide receivers. I got to go there and just it's good to see them. This is everybody eats, right? This is what I think they envisioned is spread the
Mm-hmm.
ball around. Josh just finds the open guy, and now he's got 4 or 5 guys who are in the right places and can all make plays, and that's great. And then when you really need a play, now you can go to Cooper and Shakir, which is who Josh wants to, and then you have Kincaid as your third reliable option. To have 3 reliable options for Josh is massive, and
Yeah,
I think that's the game changer here. Is now you have Cooper going against the cornerback one, and you don't have Shakir going against the cornerback one anymore. And so I love Shakir now on a cornerback 2 or whoever else. And then you have Kincaid, who defenses can't triple team and quadruple team anymore because they have to focus on Cooper. And so, yeah, I'm just super excited about that. And it was really nice to see that hit the
yeah,
ground running against a good defense. Like,
yeah.
this is a good defense. Like, don't be fooled. Like, they are a very good defense. Like you said, the number 1 pass defense so far in football, and it was great.
Yeah, and to touch on the wide receivers, and we keep beating it to death, but
Keep touching them.
when has Josh Allen had 7 legitimate targets? And you can throw Quentin Morris in there for his 1 catch he gets a year, but I know he does a lot of other things when he's in the game, special teams, things like that. But when has he truly had 7 targets that actually do something, that actually have the ability to create separation in some way, shape, or form? Keon Coleman with his back shoulder catches or his high point in the ball,
Yeah.
because he's not going to beat you with speed. Cooper with his amazing route running, still one of the best in the NFL. Samuel out
But I
of the
think that's what
backfield.
makes the difference, though, is where everyone is slotted now, right? Like
Yeah.
you
Oh,
have
absolutely.
an alpha back in the room, and that changes things. I mean, no, the Bills did not plan to go into the season without Diggs. Like that was not their plan. They did not want to do that, right? And so when they were forced to trade him, right?
Yeah.
Like that really changed the whole plan, and so getting a guy back in there who is an alpha, you see what it does for the offense. And yeah, I think it's a good point by you. Like the weapons were already there. Like we liked their pass catching room. They just needed to be slotted in the right place. And now you have a guy who takes the pressure off the whole room and is used to being the guy. Like he is used to being that and is comfortable doing it. And so I thought that was huge, man, and just super exciting. Super
No,
exciting.
absolutely. And any last things before we take like 2-3 minutes to touch on the Seattle game next week?
No, I mean, I thought the O line, I thought that was the other thing. I thought they started out a little slow, a little rocky, but they figured it out. I thought they played much better again. The second half, right? The team win as the O line went. They settled in. They played a lot better, and it was good to see a bounce back because you saw Dawkins, get beat pretty bad on the inside, and you saw
Oh,
Spencer get beat on the outside. So it's good to see them settle back in and finish the game well.
and last thing I will touch on it will be the same thing on the offensive line. You saw at once the Bills started taking over the game, you saw Alec Anderson, Spencer Brown, Deion Dawkins
Yeah.
all bringing the nasty.
Getting
Spencer Brown
nasty, man. He
Spencer
threw
Brown
2
on
guys
that.
out of the club on one play. Yeah, that was awesome. That was
Just
awesome.
throwing his body around. So
But I think
it's
that's a good thing though to say like that's the team we want to see as far as like
right.
the energy, the nastiness, like get out in space, like go find people and hit them. Like they they came into this game slow today, and then you saw them wake up, and that's the team we want to see is bring the heat, like bring the nasty, like even like Knox, after his one catch and run, like Kincaid, like Ray Davis, like they just need to bring the heat more, man. Set the attitude, and I thought they did that in the second half. That was really nice to see.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. I mean, Ray Davis is a huge bright spot. I'm glad that he seems like another later round steal for Brandon Beane. And, again, he made a great pick with Coleman. He made, the pick with Dwayne Carter, Ray Davis, and all these guys are contributing on this team that everybody outside of Buffalo and some people inside of Buffalo had said this is going to be a down year. Brandon Beane said it on Tuesday or Wednesday when they traded for Amari Cooper. Anytime this team has Josh Allen healthy, they are all in.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all felt this team was a solid team. It was just going to go as Josh went and the offense went, and I think you're seeing that, right? Like when Josh is settled in, when Josh is feeling good, this offense is super efficient and really good. Mm-hmm. It's just you need Josh to just feel comfortable and settle in. So I think that's just the storyline going forward. Like, does he feel comfortable now? Like, does he starting to feel comfortable with these weapons? You start to see some throws. You saw some different throws today. You saw him trusting some wide receivers. And so, yeah, I think that's super exciting going forward. I think the sky's the limit with the trenches. I think if the trenches play good and Josh is comfortable, it's super exciting.
Yeah, and just last thing to touch on real quickly, did you see the replay after the Cooper touchdown of Josh running down the field towards him?
No, that's awesome.
He was screaming "Coop," like that's literally great. Just, and it was awesome. Awesome thing to see.
We called that out on the show this morning, our betting show, No One to Blame, Sunday mornings. We called out a Cooper anytime plus 200. Just it felt like that if they were gonna have a couple plays in the red zone, and you saw that Josh was gonna want to go to him, welcome to the team, and so that was cool to hit. We also had a Ty Johnson. I called out a Ty Johnson anytime touchdown that hit today. That was nice, plus 500. And so, check out the show Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Really fun time. We break down the slate and give you all the player props and picks. And
you guys don't have you guys don't have an early one this upcoming Sunday, do you?
No game. No
London game.
We got two weeks without, and then we have Germany.
Yep.
The awful German game coming up.
And take it. So how I do my 25 leg one every week. Right? Yeah. Take a guess at what one killed me today.
Oh, no.
Former Buffalo Bill. No, former Buffalo Bill.
Don't tell me you put money on it. Oh, Diggs anytime? Did you do a Diggs anytime?
No, I did Diggs 40 yards.
Oh, yeah, he had a brutal game.
Had 20.
Yeah, Stroud had an awful game. He threw for like 85 yards or something.
He had 44 going into the fourth. But we'll move on to the Seahawks game, preview that a little bit, and then we have all of our shows coming up this week talking about it with Post Podium on Monday, Coast to Coast on Wednesday. No One to Blame has their recap show on Tuesday. Thursdays, we're going to have our homework hotline starting at some point there. And then us on Third and Manageable on Friday, Post Podium before that. And then, Jake, you have your normal show on Saturday night at 9 p.m. And we have our hockey hotline. Unfortunately, that didn't go well this week because apparently.
Hey, but the Sabres won. No, the Sabres won.
They did. I'm super excited. I was super excited about that. And then Sunday morning, you guys have your No One to Blame for your Sunday matchups. But moving on to Seattle right now, the Bills are favored minus three right now. So technically, if it's a neutral site, you're talking a -6. That Vegas thinks the Bills are going to win by, and they have the over at 48 at this point right now. And I think that's even before the whole DK Metcalf thing comes out.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that changes the line at all as far as that goes. But
they looked good today, man.
Yeah. Give me a little preview of the Seahawks.
So for me, Seattle, it just comes down to Geno. When he feels comfortable, when he's got time and he feels comfortable, like you watch out, man. They want to get explosive and get down the field. Their tackles have been injured, and the interior of that line's been a little hodgepodge. They've kind of come together, been a little better. the last 2 weeks. But yeah, you heat up Geno a little bit, and that can change the game. I also feel like the too high shell the Bills want to run and prevent explosives kind of counteracts what the Seattle wants to do. So then they turn to running the ball and going over the middle. So I think that's going to be big for the Bills is
Hmm.
limiting the run game. Seattle defense hasn't been great. Um, I like their coach McDonald, and they have some players there. They're coming together. They sure played good today though against Atlanta. So you got to watch out. And then it's on the road, right? I think that's the other big thing to talk about. It's tough to go West Coast, East Coast to West Coast, and then it's Seattle's a tough place to play. So yeah, there's
That
definitely
is
stuff to monitor. Go ahead.
that is what, a 425 game next week, or
It's a 425
405?
at least. So at least it's like a 1 o'clock game for the Bills. That helps.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, no, and the thing that I will say about Seattle is
or a
they have
night
a
game, I should say.
the thing that they have about Seattle that that worries me, and that's why I was like a little bit more like, okay, DK Metcalf, in knee injury, things like that. They may be a couple week injury. They're in like the same position as the Bills were, right? With an older Tyler Lockett, second year Jackson Smith and Jigba, playing that like kind of Shakir role. Your Lockett playing kind of like that outside, whatever, not a true number one anymore. And DK Metcalf is truly your number one receiver. So losing him kind of makes everybody else bump up, and they don't have that many weapons behind them.
Yeah,
They do have Kenneth Walker, but again, like we talked about earlier in the show, he's that guy that you're going to line up and you're just going to bash into the line until he breaks through. And when your defense is tired, they do have Zach Charbonnet, who is kind of like their Tajay Spears type player, but he can play in that bruiser role as well. But they try and get him more on the outside. Um,
no, but I think that's a good call though. As far as like similar to us, like when you
mhm.
take that alpha, guy away, that's kind of been Gino's security blanket too. When he needs a big play, he just chucks it up to DK. And if he's not able to go, that changes everything. That puts more pressure on different guys. It changes up how you can defend them and where you're putting focus. So yeah, I think that's a really good call out as far as that. It's a storyline to monitor for sure. If he can't
Yeah,
go, that changes everything.
yeah, that truly does change everything. And they have another good tight end on their team, and Noah Fant,
Yeah, no
that
fan. Yeah,
they got from Denver in that trade for Russell Wilson. And he's been playing well-ish. He is Geno's kind of other safety blanket other than DK Metcalf, that goes underneath when they have Lockett and DK running down the field, running those higher or longer routes, and JSN's running those intermediate routes. They have Fant underneath to kind of pick up first downs and things like that. So those are the other things that the Bills have to be kind of leery of on for a Seattle team that is playing above their what they are right now.
yeah. I don't
I
think
don't
they're
know.
very good. I mean, I know some people really like Seattle, but I think they're just kind of a middle of the pack team
They're
fighting
a
for a
pa-
wild card.
they're a paper tiger. They truly are.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, they look great on paper, but until they get on the field, unless Geno Smith is comfortable, like you said, he doesn't do anything. If the Bills are able
Yeah,
to,
like they can light it up, man. You give Gino time
oh,
and
absolutely.
space, yeah, for sure. Their offense can light it up without question.
Absolutely, but when you have two guys on the outside like Benford and Douglas, and
Yeah.
then you have Taryn going again, that's going to be able to potentially keep JSN or Noah
Yeah.
Fant from making plays. We'll see what's going on with Bernard, but when you can free him up to kind of
Mhm.
basically key on Walker or Charbonnet, that's going to be a better thing for them. And then you still have Dorian Williams, who's still leading the tackles, leading tackler for the Buffalo Bills.
And I think
So,
the Bills should be able to run the ball on them. You saw what Detroit did. Detroit dominated them,
mhm.
and I really feel like this is a game where the Bills can control it on the ground. And if they do that, I think that's going to bode really well. Yeah, I'm
it
excited for
all
that matchup.
It almost feels like a Dallas game from last year, even though the Dallas game was here. It almost feels like that, where it's, they have good corners over there and everything. They might be able to, hold them down. But I truly think that this is going to be a running game for James Cook and Ray Davis, and some things, not outliers, but things that Ty Johnson is going to be able to take advantage of as well with his speed. So I'm excited to break this game down all this week. I know we're going to be, probably maybe not this week, but the following week, or even during the bye week, trying to figure that out as far as, providing everybody with our, daily show that we're going to potentially bring out, just 15-minute clips live clips every week. So that's something that we're going to be looking forward to here on Do Champions. Anything else before we get out of here, Jake, as far as the Seahawks, any last things on the Titans game? Just a simple go Bills, anything.
Chiefs up 7-3. Brandon Ayuk just dropped a 3rd and 2, 20-plus yard gain right in his hands, dropped it. No, I think it is a good slate, man. It's great to see Miami lose. New England losing is always great. Hopefully the Jets lose later today against Pittsburgh. That would be phenomenal. That would cap off a great day. But yeah, go Bills. Hopefully Bernard injury is minor. I just wanted to win and get healthy. Wow, big punt return now for the Chiefs. They're down to the 30-yard line of San Francisco. Hate to see it. Yeah, just get healthy and win. And I think we did that. I think the Bernard thing's minor at best. I mean, at worst, maybe he misses a game or something. But so that was great. That was great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Jake, again, thank you for hopping on with a post game with us. Again, this is Do Champions post game. We do this live after every game. You may see different guests or different hosts from each of our shows every single week, but mainstays are typically myself and Jake. You'll see Student on here, Jesse on here. That runs No One to Blame, but definitely check us out all week at Do Champions on Twitter, at Do Champions on everything else, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. A great Bills win. Final score 34-10. Tyler Bass had a great game. That's another thing we didn't touch on.
Yeah, good point.
Another thing we didn't have time
to hit on, man. So much to hit on.
Didn't have time to touch on that, but we want to thank everybody for hopping in with us. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your night, and go Bills.
Go Bills. Good to be seen.
Good to be seen.